Hey guys, how's it going? Jimmy Wu, Infinity Air CEO. I'm here in the desert of Arizona, Marana, just going on my series of different thrust reversers and nacelles. I thought I'll take this opportunity to show you guys one of the airplanes that are currently in teardown with one of our vendors that are selling the nacelle product line to us. So you guys could actually see what it looks like, a nacelle that's currently in the teardown, what we call dismantle mode, or being cannibalized for the spare parts. Now this happens throughout the desert. If you could pan this camera around, you can see all of the different airplane that's here with my good friend Brian from Ascend Aerospace. That's all they do. They tear down, cannibalize, and recycle airplanes basically. Not only taking down the parts that's needed to be re-overhauled and put back into service, but also recycle all of the airframes, all of the chemicals, all of the wiring, all the strategic metals. It's very important not to just dump this stuff around, because there are a lot of toxic ingredients in these airplanes that need to be properly contained and recycled. And also putting some of these parts back in service really is sustainable for the aviation industry, rather than making brand new parts that are extremely expensive, or some of the older products that are out of production or no longer maintained by the OEM. This is where the parts come from. This is where it's available. Obviously, these parts will have to go through a full overhaul before it gets back to the airplane. But I wanted to go through the nacelles and show you guys what an engine nacelle looks like after the engine is taken out of the airplane, and what it looks like on wing right now in disassemble mode. As you can see, there are two halves to the thrust reverser, what we call inboard, something that's closest to the engine over here, and what we have an outboard. Now there are two engines on the A321 such as this, a number 1 engine and a number 2 engine. And these two engines, this particular one is a V2500A5 engine, an engine that's made by IAE, which is of course consortium, and I'll make a little bit more notes about that. You can read up on that. So it's hung on to the wing of the airplane by this empennage, or pylon I should say, system. And inside the pylon is where all of the electronics, the hydraulics, all of the stuff that controls the engine hands on there. You got fuel systems, you got hydraulic systems, you got bleed air valve systems that powers the airplane, gives the heat to the airplane, powers the pneumatic in it. This is a very, very important piece of equipment. Basically, the engine attaches to this, and then that attaches to the wing of the airplanes. So there is a lot of stuff that sits inside there. And then you have the engine that sits inside here, and you have the thrust reverser. You can see that the thrust reverser has the blocker doors that are here. You can see the structural part of the thrust reverser that sits inside here where the engine goes through, and then there's an exhaust nozzle. I'll also take you around to see some of the inlet cows that sits in front of here, the exhaust systems that sits inside the back. I thought this would be interesting for you guys to see an engine that's been removed and an airplane that's in teardown. Hey guys, so I wanted to show you what the fan cows or the side cows look like after it's been removed from the airplane. This is what it is, and it used to be on the air macaw bird, and these are to protect the engine basically, right? And also it gives access to the engine so that it can be open and the engine can be serviced on doing light maintenance or any type of maintenance that you need to get access to the engine. The engines are really not that much different from any other type of engine. Every single time the engine lands, it's inspected. They inspect the oil, they inspect how the engine runs through electronic systems. So many times, if not at all times, the engines are open through these side cows, and it looks like to make sure that it's maintained properly, correctly, doing A checks on the run. So very interesting. And also they have access panels here, as you can see. So instead of opening this whole fan cow, side cow to access the engine, you could also pop these latches open and have access if you're just looking for something small. For example, this is an engine oil service. This is a master magnetic chip detector. There are chip detectors that are inside the engines. In the event that there's small pieces of the engine that are broken up inside the engine, the chip detector will know that there are what we call either foreign objects or broken objects that goes inside the engine. Very important. to engines service the oil system, you access through this door, so it's very, very convenient, right? I mean, also these are made out of composite material, and there is acoustic properties in them to protect the engine, but also reduce the sound and noise of the engine. Noise is obviously a very important thing, not only for people that are outside of the airplane on the ground, but also for people that are inside the airplane, because noise produces a lot of stress. That's why when you're in a car that's not very noisy, you could go for long drives and your body is not stressed. But when you're in an airplane, it's extremely noisy, and it's important to make sure that the passenger comfort is good, especially for very long flights. Okay, we're gonna go around. This is a radome, by the way, just that we're here. It sits in front of the nose of that airplane. And inside the radome, there's a radar in there, forward-looking radar that looks at multiple things, not just other airplanes, but also for weather systems. So the weather radar sits inside here. And these guys at Ascend are obviously have taken the whole fuselage of the airplane and made it into a shelter unit where they could put the parts down here, prevent it from the heat of the sun, work on stuff in here where it's a little cooler. I mean, how hot does it get around here, Brian? Over 100?
Easily.
130 degrees?
115.
Oh my goodness. All right, so we got these are the inlets that were removed from the airplane, and I'll take a couple of shots later for you guys to show you some of the airplanes that still have the inlets on them. This particular inlet went on that V2500 engine for the Air Macalbur, and it also has acoustic properties that are in there to reduce the noise of sound, but it really protects the engine from getting hit from different stuff. And inside this lip skin, there are bleed valve system tubes to make sure that the inlet, the leading edge of the inlet does not freeze and does not get any ice on there. So there are systems inside this inlet to make sure, anti-ice systems to prevent it from icing, and as a protective unit as well. So that's the whole nacelle system: inlet, thrust reverser, side cowl, and if I find a common nozzle, I'll make it on this video as well. Thanks for watching.